One. Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Alan Rosen.
Welcome to Introduction to 3D Printing CAD 107 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. All right, projects for pickup. I've been printing out projects. There's a cart in room P130, Skokie campus. P130 is the CNC lab, and it's actually, we've got a lot of digital manufacturing equipment there now. I've got the 3D printers, and I've got laser cutters and CNC machines. And so I get kind of backed up with these projects. And so I've been going through and printing off, your projects. If you have put your name on it, these are the ones that are branded with the names. These are not. And for the face shields, I'm just going to give you guys our standard face shield that we have printed. You guys have done a great job with it, but I have like 200 of them sitting here to be distributed. So I'll put those on the cart as well. And I'm typically here, unless I'm in a meeting, from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. every day but Friday and Sunday. And so if you want to come by and pick that up, I may be teaching a Zoom class, but the cart will be right there. Try to make sure you pick up your own project. You know, the guys that are putting their names on it, those are great. If you bring one home and it has somebody else's name on it, then you got to bring it back and get a different one. So projects and distribution, please pick up your projects, and you can start picking those up. You might check to see with me, Joe, I'd like to pick up my projects tomorrow, or mine all done, and I'll get back to you. Just message me and Al up here. All right. Again, we're running these meetings at 9 a.m. We're using these two textbooks, and we're running the same link for the Zoom meetings. And we kind of jump around in the book a little bit. We're going through project 9, which is the stationary holder. And we're going to go through chapter 2, mastering 3D printing and prototyping. And you're to answer the chapter 2 review questions in the quizzes and exams. And so we'll put that in the splash page. I think I put the chapter 1 review questions due September 22nd. And then Module 1 and Module 2 are due this week. Module 1 is due today. We might have pushed it back for some reason. Module 2 is due on Saturday, or is it Friday? It's Friday. And again, if you need an extension for that, you can just ask for it. And then Module 2, when we look at it, is the do not disturb sign. And so as we look at these projects, and we're finding that, depending on the CAD software that we're using, they are turning out a little bit different. And so if I look at my webcam, let's see if I can go and set this up the right way. HD ProCam. And let's see if I can turn that on, start video. And I'm going to stop my share. There we go. Now you guys should see it kind of big. If not, put something in the chat that says you can't see it, because I'm assuming everybody can see sort of a bigger picture of it. And then as we look at these different projects, and so here's one of our 3D printers. Here is the do not disturb sign, and I think this was done by one of my other students last semester, Mr. Parker. I pulled it off of the box of projects that people have not picked up in. But, depending on how we're working with the text, I am finding some differences in the text output versus AutoCAD. We're doing these, we're doing panels. And this is an example of a panel that I'm working on. Let's see if the lighting makes it better here. There we go. And so I need a hand model for this, Al, somebody who can just kind of go in here and display this. But what I'm finding, I may need to get a different camera to show these like they do where you can put the textbook down. But what I'm seeing is that the resolution on the letters is a little wonky on some of these. And so we're going to kind of take a look at it. What I'm finding is that positives are better than negatives. In other words, extrusions are better than extrude cuts. Some of the other things we'll be looking at today will be extrusion nozzles. And so this is an extrusion nozzle for an Ultimaker. Ultimaker have dual cores. And so when we work with the Ultimaker, you get these cores that are essentially like this. And the material will feed in through here, and then it's heated and extruded through these nozzles. Extrusion nozzles for the Ultimaker are kind of like the most expensive. They're about $200 for an extrusion nozzle. You can pick up low-cost nozzles for some of your other machines, like these nozzles right here on Amazon, and they're much more reasonable in price. But you have to be careful about whether you're going to goof up your warranty on your machine. All right, going back to sharing my screen, and let's stop the video, share my screen, and put something in chat if it's not working. I'll expect everybody to be able to see the screen that I should have shared. Let's see. Let's just go and do it again just to make sure. So this should be the screen I'm sharing, Introduction to 3D Printing, Project 2. And like I said, we're finding some subtle differences between the CAD files and the SolidWorks files. And so if we look at the AutoCAD files, they're a little bit better engineered for you. And so if I download this, kind of glitchy. There we go. Open that. It's just a meeting sign. And when we work the meeting sign with AutoCAD, letters are treated as letters. You can actually spell check things. And so when we work with AutoCAD here, you have to use these express tools under text, and you have to explode the text to be able to model it. And so you explode the text, and when you explode it, you can see it now has this vector element to it. And then what you can do is you can extrude those in an isometric view. And what I'm finding is positive extrusions in the AutoCAD work better. So if we extrude this, there we go. You can type WP for window polygon. This is sort of a way to increase your selection sets. Hit enter. And then depending on how much processing power, if we want to go up maybe 2 millimeters like this. And then what I recommend you do is you go down with the outside perimeter. Remember, you have to have shapes. And so in the tutorial, I'll tell you, you need to make this into a region. I'm going to switch it over to an object layer, and I'm going to region that. And these are kind of appropriate nowadays, in my opinion. Once it's regioned, you can extrude it. And when you work with AutoCAD, you need to make sure that you work with the Boolean properties. I'm going to say 2 millimeters. And then when we look at this, it looks like I didn't go down far enough, so I'm going to move it using an O snap from here down to. Try it again, move it. Looks like one of my letters didn't come out. There we go. And so as you work with this, these letters are not combined. And so when you extrude things with AutoCAD, you'll notice that as I hover, each of the objects is still highlighting. And what you want to do is you want to union them before you export it as an STL file. It'll turn blue, or the other one will turn purple. Hopefully, there we go. And then, you know, as far as if you want to get into some industrial design applications, some of the other classes talk about how to color faces and be able to give, you know, that kind of information. But essentially, once you have your model completed, and you can change the text if you want, you can put something else on it. I like to put Joe's video meeting on it just so people know it's me. I get so many people that just stop by my house nowadays while I'm teaching, and I just can't answer the door sometimes. And so maybe this will work. So as you get to it, once you have it modeled, you export it, and you're going to go with other formats. And we use the STL format. And so I'm going to export this to my desktop. I'll just leave the default name. And since I have it like that, I can do that. And then we use the Dremel slicer. I should have the Cura slicer on here too. And we have other 3D printers, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So while the slicer is loading the part or getting set, we'll go here and we'll open from my desktop, date modified. And there's my part. I don't know why it didn't come in on the build plate. So I'm going to move it over to that build plate. And then you have to get used to the keys a little bit. But essentially you want it in a printable area. I usually can print these 2 up at a time. I'm going to use PLA, and we're going to talk about materials. Dremel has these different materials, and you can purchase ABS, acrylbutyl sulfate, nylon, PETG, I don't know what that stands for, and PLA, polylactic acid. The PETG is kind of a semi-transparent. It's really good for doing like lights, you know, like you want to make a night light, or you want to make a light with a, you know, something that you can display on your desk or something like that. And it has these semi-transparent qualities, which are really quite nice. Typically, we do everything with PLA. It's a plant-based plastic. It's biodegradable. And so I purchased a lot of that. The quality level goes through how many layers you're going to have. So if we have medium quality, we'll have more layers, and it will take more time. So at low quality is usually what I set it up at, and I prepare it. And then once it's been sliced, you can view it with the X-ray or with the layers. Actually, I wanted layers. And you can see I've got build plate adhesion, because we do get some difficulty with parts lifting off as they start to cool while they are created. I have 13 layers here, and this is what you would get typically 13 or 14, maybe a few more or less layers with a low quality print. And then if we upgrade this to high quality, right now we're at 1 hour and 3 minutes. And then if I go and I reset it with these values and prepare it, probably be double. So it's 3 hours and 16 minutes. It's more than double. It's almost 3 times, because we go from 0.3 millimeters, and we've tripled our layers as well. Resolution is better though. And so as you look at high quality prototypes, you know, the one that you're going to go into the sales meeting with, you want something that looks really good. And so you can increase the resolution in this way. I haven't really worked with these high speed and ultra qualities yet. We can experiment with those if you guys are interested in doing that. Okay, back to the main splash page in D2L. And so our assignment for this week is to complete this project, and then to look at project number 3. And project number 3 is this stationery holder. And the stationary holder is taken from the lab book. If we look at our lab book, they modeled it with circles. I think I used polygons. I thought I'd make it look a little nicer. You're welcome to do the same. Some of you guys have had a few CAD courses, which it's no problem if you want to show off a little bit. So here's the design for this. I guess he did use hex shapes. D means diameter. So as you draw these, you start off by drawing diameters on the XY plane. If you're using SolidWorks, you can choose the top plane. And these are the extrusion heights, 130 millimeters, 100 millimeters, 74 millimeters. And so they went through and they created this. And what they did was join these individual cells together with a detail. They just call it a detail where they linked them. And what I did when I made these parts is I just made a flat base for them. And so I made this base, and then I also manipulated the Oakton logo to put it in here with the user coordinate system having an XY coordinate here. And I think I did that in the video. If not, you can ping me with the text and I can show you how to do that. Now, if I wanted to export one of these and to brand it, and I'm not good with AutoCAD, this is my first class and I want to put my name on it. One, again, we need to export these as unioned. So I'm going to union them. And after it's unioned, it will hover. When I hover over it, it treats the object as one. And then as I export it, I'm going to export it to my desktop again. And I'll just leave it with that as a stereolithography file. I'll save it. I'll click on it. I'll hit enter. And then if I want to go into 3D Builder, what I can do is I can go and find my desktop. Now, this is not 3D Builder. I should have opened it with 3D Builder. This is like something else that's on my computer. Let me get rid of that. Open with, and you can download 3D Builder for free. This is sort of like ahead of the curve kind of thinking, because most people don't have 3D printers yet. And this kind of reminds me of back when cable modems came out and the internet, and people who were in the know had cable modems and everybody else had the dial-ups. So 3D Builder is the new technology that's coming out. And so here it is. We import the model, and 3D Builder is one of these programs that just does things that are really pretty nice. If I click on the object and I go to edit it, emboss, I can go and emboss my name on it. I'm not real good with it yet. I can move these. These are scale, rotation, and moving. So if I go to moving it, I can then move it, and I should be able to move it in the XY plane. I don't want to move it in Z. Let's see. There we go. So I can put ABC there. You can also bring in logos if you want to figure that out. Let's just say Joe, because that works for me. And so you can put your name on it. You can then green check mark it or say emboss, and that'll save you some time. If you want to learn how to bring in images, you can go in and you can go on YouTube and say how to import an image into 3D Builder. And then you can do some really cool stuff. I've seen some of my student employees do it. I'm not quite there yet. I have to practice it, and I've got 9 classes to teach this semester. So you're welcome to do that, to emboss it. Once you have it embossed like that in 3D Builder, what you want to do is you want to save it. And so once I have it embossed, I come back here and I save it. I'll continue. And then I'll go into my Dremel software, and I'm just going to delete this one out and open from my desktop. And it comes in as a 3D object now, but it takes it just the same. There it is. We'll probably print these at scale because these are pretty big. So I'm going to scale this down to 50%. And then I'm going to move it onto the build plate. See if I can get myself orientated. Good thing I played all those video games when I was younger. And then I'm going to just click on the screen and I'm going to prepare it. This is a high quality print, so let's dial that down so that it's prepared. Nothing to slice because the model isn't on the build plate. All right, so let's get this on the build plate. Let's see if it will move down. I think it's on the plate now. And it usually will just self-attach it. There it goes. So it looks like some of it is below the build plate. So I'm going to bring it up, prepare it. There we go. And you can see it does have my name in there. And so you can use 3D Builder to brand it. And I think that works really well for us. Lastly, the last thing that we want to do is we want to look at the chapter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that component of our class, and then I'm going to stop the recording and start a new one. So this is the third project. You know, start to brand your projects so that we know whose they are. You can use AutoCAD, SolidWorks, or 3D Builder to do that. And as we look at the main splash page, then the last part is we want to go through and start doing a little bit more theory. And so under quizzes and exams, I'm putting the review questions. And so let me go and view this as a student. Quizzes and exams. So the chapter 2 review questions are released now. And when you look at the review questions, they're just the questions from the end of the chapter. Answer them with complete sentences. They're not super difficult, but it lets us know that you're reading the material. Okay, with that, I'm going to end our 10-minute, I'm not sure if it's 10, but it's a few more minutes than that, Zoom meeting. Al, do you have anything to add before I end this meeting and start the next recording?
No, not this time.
All righty, so I'm going to stop the recording and we're going to start a new one with the textbook chapter.